Hello everyone and welcome to Unconventional GMs, the channel where we play games with vim and vigour, ideally in 2 hours or less. This is going to be one of our specials where we play to find out, so it'll probably be more than one session, maybe less than 4, I don't know. We're going to roll a d3 or d4 and see how it pans out for us, but we're going to be playing Blades in the Dark, if you're aware of that role-playing game, or if you're not, we will still be playing it. So you can go over to 17 Design, check out John Harper's stuff. He's the guy who wrote the game, and he's recently produced Deep Cuts, which is like the first expansion for the game, I guess you'll call it. We may or may not use some parts of that, mainly due to the fact we're using Roll20 to facilitate our game, and the implementation has not caught up with the new rules, so we'll see how we go. But hopefully we can give you a good idea about how the game runs and what goes on. So if any of you out there have seen the Netflix series Arcane, there's a bit of that sort of vibe to it, or if you've played Dishonored, the computer game, or maybe you've read The Lies of Lamora, or many other things like that. So imagine a sort of industrial fantasy city. It's always dark, always raining, and our characters are a bunch of scoundrels. They're a crew, and they have dreams of something big, but right now they are very small fish in a pot of boiling water that's temperature's going up, so you can add in frog analogies and other things as well if you want. But the whole conceit of the game is you're trapped inside this city and you can't get out, so you will cause grief and problems and mischief and then have to deal with the consequences. So to find out more about our players and who they are playing, let's go around the table. I shall start first of all with Ghost Girl. Olga, how's it going?
Well, hello, guys. Thank you for having me. I am Olga Patijn. I have written the Eternal Grind Cafe. Are you angry with your current politicians? You can set fire to them in this game, canonically. I'll be playing Alice, and Alice has a passenger called Mr. Hush, who lives in her brain like a spider. So we have this scrawny, late-teen orphan girl that is faded, working in the laundries, and somehow ended up in our very lovely, nice cult, and now is stuck here. And she's not really sure what she's doing here, but Mr. Hush is, so don't worry.
Excellent stuff. I look forward to meeting the both of you throughout the rest of the game. Also with us from continental Europe, we have Sebastian. How are things going with you?
Hi, that's fine. And I will be playing Walt, the cutter. He's a big bruiser, bulky man. Was a sailor once, and like did his one or another thing that wasn't completely legal on the seas, off the seas, and has his one or two little minor damages as well. And yeah, hopefully protecting the crew from any harm and punching in some heads.
I'm sure there'll be a target-rich environment, as we call it over here. And moving across even further east in Ukraine, we have Tasha. How are things?
Hey there, glad to be here. I'm Tasha. I'm co-founder of Ukrainian tabletop RPG actual play channel, Idea Roll. Check that out. And tonight I'm playing Tale Iko Askar. She's a lurk. She's tall, slim, with darker skin, and she has her hair in dreadlocks. She's really good in what one might say breaking and entering, but that's not the words we're using here. It's just like, if you need to get to some places, she's really good in it.
Lovely stuff. I'm sure you all need to get in places and, more importantly, get out of them again, but we'll worry about that later. And last but not least, we have my co-host on UGMs, Mr. Guy Milner. How's it going, Guy? Who are you playing? And perhaps do you want to tell us a little bit about who your gang is as well and what their kind of raison d'etre might be?
Yeah, I can do. So I'm Guy. I'm co-host of this. I also blog at Burn After Running, RPG.com. There's some Blade stuff on there, including a starter adventure that you could check out if you're wondering how to get going. There's a little ready-to-play thing on there. But today I am playing Timothy Tyrconnell Song, who resents the term scoundrel that he remembers in the introduction. He is a civilized negotiator and the face of the group, which he would never describe as a cult. You are looking at a slender man at the moment, ambiguous gender, maybe quite affable, collared shirt, kindly smile, half cape across his side. He makes sure he does most of the talking when we go out and ensures that things go smoothly, and is at pains to tell us that this crew that you would describe it as are merely a group of like-minded philosophical seekers of the truth. The Ember Sparks, we have happened to have insight into beings beyond our ken who can bring the sun back, bring the light back, and we know some of the rituals that are going to do that. Mostly, yes, they involve setting buildings or people or crowds of people in buildings on fire, but it'll all be worthwhile, and we are all peaceful men of faith. So yeah, I think the immediate history of our cult, seekers of philosophical truth, is that we enacted a ritual recently that was, I think we can all agree, a resounding success. And the many other members of our cult who are no longer with us as a result of that ritual would, I'm sure, agree. One of the bounties of that is Mr. Hush, who's joined us. We're all very pleased to have him along. He's going to help us out. He's really helping, and Alice is very, very, very helpfully volunteered to carry him with her through the time. And we are in a position where we are looking to recruit a few more members to replace those that were lost in our successful ritual. And to do that, we also need to sort of get some relics and some magical items and so on, and try and find some of this out. But we're ready to go, aren't we? Up and coming. And I mean, we're in our temple it used to be a temple, didn't it? It's quite ruined. There's one tower left, but our faith is what sustains us, really.
Amazing stuff. I can't imagine anything going wrong. So, as we begin, I should probably say, I'm Gaz. Didn't introduce myself formally, so if you want to go to whatwouldthesmartpartydo.com, the UK's premier RPG podcast, you can find an interview, or two interviews in fact, with John Harper to learn more about his games there as well. So do that, and we do hope that if you like this session, that you like and subscribe. We hope to earn that subscribe press right now with what we're going to do. So let's get cracking. Blades runs in a way that's more like Ocean's 11 than a pre-planned adventure, so I'm sure some of our watchers will have seen those games where people play for 3.5 hours planning what they're going to do, then immediately mess it up and spend half an hour actually on the score. Blades is much more punchy, so we're going to perhaps do a little bit of investigation around what we might do, and then we're going to be there, we're going to be doing it, and we'll work out as we go along what happened. Maybe we'll do flashbacks to things that were prepared in advance, but we're not going to spend ages talking about it. We're just going to do it and see what happens. Great. So you're all in your ruined tower, and as I understand it, there is a railway carriage upended that's kind of embedded in the bottom of it. That all counts, so parts of that. You're in the rail yards. Your immediate upper bound, if you will, is the Railjacks. There's a gang that look after all the railways and stuff, and you sort of, I would say you pay them tithes or service, but I believe in our session 0 you said that you're not paying them anything, so you're there under sufferance currently because, I don't know, you think you have a divine right to be there or something. Who knows with seekers of philosophical truth what you might say about that. Nevertheless, there's a knock on the door, if indeed there is a door. If not, it'll be the bits of plaster next to it. But as one of you gazes out, one of your numerous cultists, or seekers I guess you call them, comes running up to the four of you assembled, and I'll let you describe perhaps what it is you're doing when someone comes up to speak to you. I says, there's a blue coat here. Officer Gladstone says he needs to speak to whoever's in charge. That would normally be the Grand Magus, but... And he looks over at the black oily stain on the floor and the scorch marks. He goes, I don't think he's around. Who should I say? What? Oh God! I hope we're not in trouble.
We will all meet him. Calm yourself. The Grand Magus is otherwise engaged. I glance towards the pile of ash and the still smoking hat that he was there. Let's come. Let's assemble a cut as I make to gather the four of us, basically to go downstairs. and greet this blue coat.
Indeed you do. There are several other seekers around the place with mops and scrubbing brushes trying to tidy the place up a bit after the highly successful ritual that you committed not too long ago. And there is indeed a blue coat stood there. He's what passes for the police force in Doskvol, or the blue coats. He's got a heavy raincoat over his blue uniform. It's hard to tell it's blue because it's quite dark and stained. He's got a leather mask that covers like an inverted V over his face and has got studs in it for no apparent reason, apart from perhaps they look intimidating, to go with his tricorn hat that's pointed and heavily down, so you can just see the glint of his eyes underneath the shadow. And through a muffled voice, he looks round. He seems a bit surprised not to see. Perhaps he was expecting, but he kind of shrugs and says, "Now then, I've come with a bit of information for you." And he immediately holds out a palm after taking off one of these leather gloves. Says, "I believe you're looking for special items of significance. I happen to know where one is. Normally I would come and speak to Jeff. Sorry, the Grand Magus. But yeah, maybe you'll do instead." And he sort of like waggles his fingers in an expectant fashion.
We speak for him. Gladstone, great to see you again. As I put my hand out and shake his hands, double-handed handshake. It's great. Yeah, Jeff is indisposed at the moment, but you can speak to us freely.
Fine. Well, I have it on good authority that the Fog Hounds are going to be transporting some special items, including the Candelabra of If. Now, it might be that I know the route that they're going to be taking. They'll be heading up towards the posh part of town, obviously, to sell it off at auction. But if there was some enterprising ladies and gentlemen which to deprive them of their wares, I am sure there's other stuff on there as well. I couldn't say how much, but there'll be a lot of stuff, I imagine. Well, I could certainly turn the other way. Of course, there is a fee for that. And far be it from me to be so crass as to mention money, and he kind of rescues his hand and starts waggling his fingers again in a sort of like telling way.
Money, I'm sure that you would offer us this out of the goodness of our hearts, just to have the faith. But I'm sure they'll have some valuables that we can throw your way as well. Because obviously you don't want to be seeing this sort of crime happen openly on the streets and have to deal with it. Much better if it happens and you're somewhere else and you don't need to witness it and you get a cut. That's how this works, isn't it, officer?
And yeah, you can see the cogs working behind his eyes as he thinks about this. Thinks, all right, well, maybe yes, maybe a cut. I get first choice. You'll lay all the stuff out and I'll get 20%.
Oh yeah, 20%. I look around at people and do some calculations and say,
Yeah.
20%. That's
I do a stage whisper to Talia, and I said, "Does he know about the ghost that's chasing him?"
No, I don't think so.
Oh, don't you think the poor man needs help? Look at him, really
Well-
scared.
He starts looking over his shoulder.
Well, I guess he is a nice man. He said 10%, right? It's really generous.
I don't think if we don't help him, he's not going to live long enough to collect it.
Oh,
20% is very generous of you. When we get the goods, we'll lay it out, and 20%, 1/20th of the goods provided shall be yours, of course. We're very happy to help. We know how this works.
Oh, he enthusiastically shakes your hand without thinking too much about it. Goes, good, right. And he pulls out a crumpled piece of parchment from under his raincoat. Says, here you go, look at these canals. They'll run by there. They'll go by if it gets to this point over that bridge, the Imperial Navy are looking after that. You've done it. So you need to get the canals. Don't look out for the gondoliers here. They've been paid to protect them a little bit, I think. There's some rivalry there, but they seem to be working cons at the minute. Things have been a lot quieter than they should be. I'm suspicious. Don't like it when it's too quiet. Anywhere between here and there, along this stretch, probably good.
So I'm sure we can come through. And you'll be looking the other way, presumably. The blue coats will be otherwise engaged.
I'm going to keep everybody on the streets. This will be on the canals, so you should be fine. There's plenty we can do with cracking heads. Just make sure you get everything stays on the water as far as any trouble goes, and there'll be no problems.
I'm sure we won't need to crack heads, will we, Walt?
No.
He looks up at Walt. Oh, good.
Walt like just towers over him like, no problems there.
Well, I'm glad we've got all that cleared up.
Aren't we fortunate that Walt has a background in all of the marine things, like? Yeah, you said you've been sailor. So it's basically done. We just need to work out some details.
Right, good. And sure. Gladstone looks around and then puts his colour up even higher than it was before. Says, I'll come by in the morning then to collect my my earnings. Good luck to you.
Good luck with the ghost.
Oh God, he sort of like half trips over things on the way out as he keeps looking over his shoulders to work out what's going on. But he's pretty soon gone. And you're immediately swarmed by your numerous acolytes that you have. So that the candelabra of Ith, I thought such a thing was mythical. I didn't believe it actually existed. Did not the demon Zekoil take it back to the very hells with him? Oh no, I heard it be melted down and used to make a sword, which is the only thing that can kill ghosts. No, you fool, there are many things that can kill ghosts. And before you know it, there's a cacophony from about a dozen people around you, all expressing their intimate knowledge of the candelabra of Ith.
Should we just pick up the map and like the four of us just back away and leave them to their arguments? And we'll actually plan the job.
I will briefly turn around and, hey, Brother Aurelius is not cleaned up. I still see a spot over there. Go clean him.
And they do go back to their tasks, but also continue the argument about various bits of occult and arcane knowledge that they all have and claim to be superior about. So, there's a montage scene where you plan what you're going to do, but we're not going to roleplay it out because very soon we're going to be actually on that score. So what I need from you to do the engagement role, which is working out how you start out, how in control or not you are of the situation, is an approach, first of all. So you might be approaching this with violence to the target. There might be some kind of deception where you try and trick them or manipulate them some way. It could be stealth where you just try and get in quietly without anybody noticing. Maybe there's something occult, given that you're a supernatural organisation, that you do to get yourselves there. Perhaps it's a social thing where you negotiate, bargain, persuade, convince people, something like that. Or maybe you could do something around the transportation kind of angle. Maybe you could get your own boat. Maybe you could do some kind of hijack. I don't know. But to give us an idea, what sort of approach are you taking? And we'll just jump straight to it.
Could we do something stealthy, like Mission Impossible, like lower ourselves off a bridge and maybe a distraction in there?
I was thinking distraction too, while everybody else is looking somewhere. Not at us.
I'm very good at being not noticed. Everybody will always look past me. They always look away when I look at them, so I must be good at that.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So are we finding a bridge over this canal, a likely looking bridge?
Mm-hmm.
Is that our sort of thing? And it's like a lower down. Maybe we can use. We have got a bit of. It's stealth. We need an entry point, don't we? So maybe we can work out. Maybe we can use some occult thing to work out exactly which barge this candelabra is on, because it'll have some.
Would you like me to ask Mr. Hush to summon a ghost?
Mr. Hush can sniff it out, maybe, and then we go on to the right one, hopefully, and it's all sorted, and then we can run away down the streets, and it's all. That sounds like a perfect plan, doesn't it?
Sounds perfect, Mr. Song. Only I'm very bound to Alice, but I'm happy to get a minion or two to do the sniffing out work for you. So Alice's eyes slightly glow when she says that.
Okay, so it sounds like some kind of infiltration is going to go on with a little bit of preparatory work, which is fine. Mm-hmm. So, the first thing was Mr. Hush wants to speak to a ghost to see if he can find which barge are the best way in. We can kind of do that as a gather information roll if you want, which I guess is what it is ultimately. So this is kind of like a preparatory thing you can do ahead of actually doing the engagement roll itself, where you work out how well you did. But that's fine. And I'm going to say it's probably going to be using like your weird skills, isn't it, rather than
It is going to be my special ability for compel. It can also be attune or command.
Yeah, it could be any. I'm sold on them. So another thing about blades is the player tells me what skill they want to use. So as long as you can justify it and the table's happy that you're not being silly, then
I would argue for attunement, because it gives me tapping into the ghost field and talk to ghosts nearby, but also to see are there disturbances, are there weird shenanigans.
Sounds good.
Shall I roll?
I think yes.
I have rolled a 4 as my highest dice.
Okay, that's pretty good. Yes, you, Mr. Hush does get a ghost of a drowned sailor to go and have a look and see what's going on. And the ghost comes back, although because you got kind of a middling success, you don't get everything that perhaps you wanted. But the ghost does tell you that there is definitely the fog hounds have a vessel that's protected. It's warded by spirit ward, so he can't say, "Oh, I saw what you're looking for here." But he managed to say there was one boat he couldn't look into. It was almost like there was a lead box or something, like the hold was just sealed, so he could see the people. He could see the living souls prowling the decks and wanted to drag them down to join him in his watery grave. So he'd have someone else to talk to and feel warmth for a short period before they got cold, or so cold. But couldn't see inside the hold of the vessel, so he suspects this is the one it is, and it's the Black Anchor is the name of the barge.
Black Anchor. Well done, sailor. We will get you some friends soon.
Yes, bring them to me. There's too many strong swimmers on the seas and in the canals. I need someone who hasn't learned to swim. I'll teach them, though.
There's a cut back to the three of us talking about, so have any of you had the canals? The only problem is, of course, I've never learned to swim. You'd think being from the Dagger Isles we'd do it, but you just never need it. You get very good at not falling overboard. That's what you need to do.
Okay, was anybody else gathering any kind of information, do anything, or are we happy to roll and get on with it?
I was going to, this can maybe be doing as a flashback, I was going to maybe try and set up a little escape route for us. Do you want to do that now as a little setup thing so we can see if it...
Sure.
I think I'm going to, well, stop me if I'm making a scene too much. I'm thinking there's a drinking den inhabited by gondoliers.
Sure.
That I'll be going in sort of gaudily dressed up as they are, and attempting to charm one of them so I can borrow his gondola for the particular night, in the hope that once we're on they won't expect us to run away down the canal, so I can approach. Well, I'll be the other side as they drop from the bridge.
Sounds good. Hit me with a roll and we'll see how well that went.
I think this is a sway.
Yeah,
as I'm
sounds
attempting
good.
to charm or seduce or whatever they'll go for, basically.
And because this is before engagement, there won't be any consequences to anything. It's just how well
just
you do
if
it.
I can't get it,
Yeah.
Cool. Ooh, again, 4. It's my
again, I think this is going to come down to, like, he says he'll help you, but he wants like half the treasure. So you think you've got it set up. You think it sounds good. Whether he actually wants half, whether he wants to bog him down, whether he's just going to take your money and then not give you in this game, you don't know. But you're 50-50 on it.
Yeah, I'll go with that, and we can resolve it later.
Yeah.
We can renegotiate
That's it.
in the heat of battle.
Depending on how things look at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if his gondola sinks, then he won't need half the treasure, will he?
That's right, exactly.
Cash on delivery, yeah.
Anything from either of you two? Are you happy to get going?
Yeah, I think I've got my code name from being really into books and quoting them. So I think I've heard quite a lot about this candelabra, and I'm trying to refresh my memory on exactly how it looks. First of all, to be able to quickly recognize it in case of unlikely situation that we're on a rush and don't have much time to go through all of the treasures in there, but also in case we have a whole day before us to maybe try and forge something similar to replace it.
That sounds amazing.
Could that be tinker or study?
Yeah, whichever one you want to do. If you just want to like get the information out of your study, if you're trying to actually create a simulacrum, then it will be the tinker role to put something together. So,
well, I guess I'll start with study and we'll see how it goes. It's a 3.
Okay, not that you know this as a character, but as a player you do, is that you've got entirely the incorrect candelabra. So you've gone to your library, and maybe perhaps it was a good drawing at one point, but it was at the end of the library that was near the burning of the Grand Magus, and the pages warped, it got discoloured, they crumpled up, and now when you flattened it out and gone, oh, this is it, it's not what it actually looks like now, but it's just due to the damage you've got an incorrect view. But as far as you're concerned, you're busy telling everybody how lucky you are that this book survived the fire, or at least this part of the book.
Well, this is a grace of our deity. It's leading us, it's showing us exactly what we're after.
Sounds amazing. And how about you, Sebastian? Has Walt got anything he's doing?
I think I will just run around a little bit around the canal, lurk around there, look at the bridge and up and down the canals, watch the routes of the guards that are coming and going, just to be sure. And I think that would be then a survey.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Let's see. Oh, that is 1.
Oh, we're doing so great.
Okay, there we go. You do.
I'm trying to be really inconspicuous while doing that, of course.
Yeah, you think you've done well. You found near the fulcrum of the bridge. There's a gargoyle set like hunched over. You think this would be a great place for us all to just like hunker behind, and it's, as you're leaning on it to look over, there's an ominous creaking sound, and then the gargoyle just goes and splashes into the water. And now there's kind of, where there was a good hiding spot, there's now a very clear bit of bridge missing. And yeah, not only that, the splash in the water causes lots of people who work in the area to look around, and you're quite an obvious person, so they kind of, oh, look at that massive hulking brute with the scars on his face. But I mean, probably nothing will come of that. No one needs to know, right? You can just head back and don't need to tell anybody.
Exactly.
No problem.
I tell you the other side, well, the bridge is broken a little, but that should be fine. It's better to jump off now. There was before.
A clear route to jump off, yeah.
We have a clear route now.
Yeah.
Nobody saw me, I think.
No one ever sees you, do they? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
They sort of all looked away when I looked at them, so it should be fine.
So we're going to skip to that evening when you've all done your bits and pieces. I'm going to say, Tasha, you have recreated a half-decent candelabra of a different kind of candelabra, but it looks all right to you compared to the picture you've got.
What are you talking about different kind? It's like a perfect replica
yes,
of what I saw in the book.
Compared to the book, it's exactly as it should look, yeah. Down to the colouring and everything. It looks beautiful. And you've headed out in the night. You are around the bridge over the river. The foghounds are doing their delivery at night because they want to keep it out of the normal kind of thoroughfares and risk getting jammed up or something like that. So there's 3 barges heading down towards you as you're sat lurking. The first one is quite a fast-moving vessel, and it's more of a skiff, really. You note on it, there's a group of the foghounds there. They've got like crossbows and there's quite a good brazier gun on the front, so there's one or two that have got fire arrows, you think, possibly, from the fat ends on the bolts that you can see, ready to try and sink other ships or certainly scare them away. And they're keeping a keen eye out, looking around. And as you hunker back on the bridge, you can just catch on the river, on the fog and the water, the voices carry a little bit. And one says, What happened to that gargoyle up there? It's like, I don't know, nothing lasts these days, does it? Anyway, keep your eyes out. I've heard there might be trouble. And that quickly moves underneath you. Then you can see the black anchor hulking behind it, having much lower in the water, a bigger vessel. It's got its own guards upon it, but no lights. They're all extinguished on that boat as it maintains a low profile and inches closer and closer to you. And then comes the time as it passes under the bridge where you can leap upon it. So let's make the engagement roll to see how things go. So one of you gets to do this. You start with 1 die for sheer luck, just for turning up. Is your operation, would you say, particularly bold or daring?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, definitely.
And I think it's not overly complex or contingent on many factors, is it? So that's fine. So you get another die for that. Does your plan detail expose vulnerability in the target or hit them with the weakest?
I don't think we really do we? They're not,
no. Equally, I don't think there's any particular special preparations they've taken against it like that. That sounds fine.
What about my beautiful candelabra?
What about it? There's no particular enemies or rivals or friends that help you out on this or got in the way. Any other elements we can consider? Now, the tier is 1 above yours, but I think it's only a small part of the gang, so I'm not going to do that. So does somebody want to roll 2 dice for me for the engagement roll to see how you start off?
I can do that if you want. There is actually an engagement thing, isn't there? 2 dice.
There will be a button.
On the crew mode. Oh, yeah.
6 is really good. So you start off in
Feel the pressure there.
controlled position. Okay, so despite the missing gargoyle and other things that have drawn attention to the bridge, nobody notices you. It's as you sort of like land one by one on top of the barge. It seems everybody's looking outwards and to the banks and spotting if there's a river rat or some noise in the water. Immediately people are looking at that, and they don't hear you all stealthily drop on top of the barge itself.
Maybe that's even because they were all looking at the missing gargoyle, trying to locate it. Well done, Walt.
I was wondering if I might not be on the bridge. I might be on a gondola with my gondolier friend Petrozzi.
Sure.
I'm now wearing a gondolier's hat, so we appear just a normal pair of gondoliers happening to be out on the canals this evening in exactly the right place for this ambush, hopefully.
Okay, you're just trailing behind them. There is, as I mentioned, 3 vessels. So there's the one at the back again is a lighter vessel full of fast-moving cutthroats ready to see off any trouble if so required. But for now, they're just keeping an eye out and checking behind them. Okay, so the rest of the 3 of you are on the boat. It's a vessel in darkness. You can see there's at least a dozen crewmen here and there keeping their eyes around. There's lights on down below. You can see just behind this, like a blackened curtain that's hung over the back companionway with steps that go down into it itself. There's a few windows or portholes, I guess you call them. Have you got a particular plan of how you get down there? There was talk of a distraction. Is someone doing that? Or are you going to try and engage with the guards in any way? What are you going to do? What's your first step of getting down into that darkened hold?
I could ask Mr. Hush to summon some ghosts, or maybe something that lives below a bit deeper to cause a distraction.
Sounds like a lovely idea.
I am so happy you agree. Well, you see Alice, like her eyes faintly glowing, going to the water, and she sticks her little hand in, and then she sticks her hand, and her hand goes deeper in a whole arm, and a whole sets of arms start rising up around the boat. And I think it's another command or attunement.
It's definitely a tune for this because you're doing something weird. I'm going to offer you a devil's bargain if you want.
Yes.
That's you can have an extra die, but you're going to awaken all the ghosts of the canal, so they might not necessarily be helpful or anything, but
Might surprise you, but Mr. Hush doesn't care.
oh really? Okay.
Mr. Hush already established as a big fan of the devil's bargain. Yeah.
Also, we were talking distraction, and that will definitely cause it.
Yeah.
So the input position is risky.
Your position is controlled at the minute because that's was your engagement roll. You started off from a. I mean, that's about to change, I would suggest, but.
Control. Submit. Effect is standard.
It's going to be standard effect, yeah.
1 bonus dice.
Mm-hmm.
And a 5. Lucky me.
A 5 is a success with consequence, even. Okay. So, lights start to, like will-o'-the-wisps in the water start to appear. And things start to ebb up, out. And you can almost feel the moans before you hear them. And there's shouts of alarm start to go up from everybody around us, like there's something's wakened things. The spirits. What? Where were the spirit wardens? They should have captured all the ghosts. And you know that within Doskvol itself, there's actually a set of people who are supposed to come round when someone dies to get the ghost, but clearly somewhere in the muck and the filth, some have got away and stayed hidden from the wardens. Maybe you'll let the spirit wardens see present as well. Who knows? Not just yet though, because you've rolled a success, so that's okay. I'm going to say that it's going to be a risky position now. So that's going to be the only consequence. That's your downside. Because the ghost started to appear and crawl over the sides of the barges or move up onto the bridge, now things are a little bit more tricky. But aside from that, it's all working beautifully. There's shouts of alarm. There's a couple of guys run downstairs into the barge itself, crawl out, there's something's wrong. You can see people on the sides, the night walkers, and a couple of people's in the goat taxis are starting to lean over and have a look at what's going on. What do the rest of you do?
I want to see if I can like pick off one of the guys and take his place, maybe, or like, do they have like special outfits? I would say like definitely something like a specific coat or something. Like when he runs around the corner, just grab him by the throat, like, and punch him in the face and take his coat.
That sounds an entirely decent plan and well within your purview. I'm going to suggest that a consequence might be that if you don't succeed, then he's obviously going to raise the alarm, as he might be harder to take down than you thought he was. But sure, you can make your roll.
Okay, that would then be a skirmish, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, it works for me.
Okay.
And it's risky standard at the minute.
Risky? It's risky standard. Okay, and no bonus die. That is a 3.
That is a bad outcome. Okay. So I'm going to say that you lose an opportunity. That's what happens there. So although you hit him on the way around, it's like punching a wall. You sock him right on the jaw, and a blow that would fell anyone else, and he just shouts "Ow!" in a really loud foghorn voice. You can see why he's part of the Foghounds. And this, like, everybody stops. Like even a couple of the ghosts kind of like pause in their ethereal clawing up the side of the bus. So, what hellish scream is this? So now there's definitely the opportunity for taking his place is gone. As these shouts, "Oh, there's people on the boat! Oh, help! Someone help me!" But it's not clear yet whether there's going to be anybody helping him immediately, because it's all going to be a little bit confused. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start this clock down here. People at home can't see it, but hopefully my players can. I certainly can, so that's all right. I'm going to say alert the guards is what it's called. At the minute, there's just one who's in your immediate vicinity and trying to do something about it. So I'm going to mark one of the 4 segments, and as other rolls happen or other things occur, some of the consequence might be I'm going to tick this clock up, and when it's fully ticked, I'm going to say that people are actively hunting you and trying to stop you. But for now, it's a matter of people who have gone to a heightened state of alert trying to work out what's going on, if that makes sense. Who wants to do something else? Who's next? I would suggest either Tasha or Guy maybe want to make a move.
Well, I'm going to try and get close to this middle barge, I think. So I'm going to try and, with Patrazzi, be sort of whatever, gondoliering. I don't know if that's punting, isn't it? Is it the same? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's how it works. Yeah. We're pushing it with our rods, our punts through the canal, trying to shake off the ghosts as we do it, trying to just glide silently. We'll sort of dip down so we can get past the rear boat and alongside the middle one, which I might say I think is probably prowl.
Yeah, definitely sounds good for me. I'm going to say a quite obvious consequence might be they get spotted. I'm going to say that the consequence actually be that you pick up a ghost along the way.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I'll just roll, I think.
Only if you roll badly. I mean, if you roll well, then don't need to.
A 6.
6 is a wonderful success. You get everything that you wanted.
So, yeah, crouch down, the two of us, alongside the boat, and I'll motion for him to wait there, and then peek my gondolier's hat.
That comes up first, and then
big feather. Google what gondoliers are quickly. So we don't want to ostracize that online community in the comments box.
That's right. Well, this is Doskvol gondoliers, which is separate than real life ones. Right?
They have feathers in their hats, obviously. But,
yeah. So, Tasha, what the situation is, you're on this middle barge. There's a general sense of alert going up. People start to shout around. You can see ethereal, ghostly figures start to claw their way up the side of the barge. Your cutters just punched someone full in the face, and they didn't fall over, which is the first time that's ever happened. And you can see a feathered gondolier's cap peeking over the side of one of the boat as well.
Well, I've heard someone yelling "help." That was quite loud, and I'm putting my hood on so that they cannot immediately recognize me. And I say, "Sure, I'll help. Come on here." And I'm trying to sort of take Walt, having his hand behind his back. Hopefully he will play on it because I won't be physically able to do so. And I will pretend to lead him somewhere deeper to the barge, pretending to be a figure of authority in here. That probably might be sway.
I think yes, I'll go for that. That sounds perfectly good. I'm gonna say that it's going to be limited effect because we've already established you've missed the opportunity to impersonate them. So it'll probably just be like, for the minute he'll let you do it, and then he'll suddenly go, wait a minute, who was that person? And
well, that's exactly what I was aiming for. Let's see if no.
Okay. He's just absolutely having done. I mean, as you grab Walt's hand, I think Walt's probably a little bit slow on the uptake. So you're like trying to put his hand.
Hey, what are you doing? Why are you holding my arm like this? We should punch that guy.
So that doesn't work, and more than that, as you got like a terrible failure. You're now going to progress to a desperate situation, and you're going to take 2 harm or potentially take 2 harm, as he pulls out one of his belaying pins, this big bit of wood, and just bonks you on the top of the head with it.
Ooh.
So if you want to, you can try and reduce that effect.
Of course I do. What do I do?
Insight, prowess, or resolve.
That's right. So it's the stat that was above it. So this is going to be, because he's hitting him, that would be skirmish. Where you've got prowess. If you click that, is this what we're using the new rules for this? This is called pushing yourself.
Oh.
Okay. So how it works in the new rules that have come out is that if you get a 6, you only take 1 stress. So on your stress track, you just need to tick 1 box, and then we'll reduce it to 1 harm. So in your harm boxes, there's like 3 levels. So the bottom one's like level harm. There'll be 2 boxes. Just if you put in bruised in one of those. So what looked like it was going to be a particularly nasty blow to the side of your head, you managed to kind of duck out of the way a little bit, and it just more skimmed over the top of your head. But he let it go. And he starts shouting, they're over here, they're over here. Trying to get attention. At this point, he sort of freezes as a ghostly figure of someone comes like clawing over the side of the barge. And he says, "What, Daisy?" And this woman who looks maybe like she was a lady of the night at some point, but's now just like obviously bedraggled, half transparent. Staring, he's like, "Oh, it wasn't my fault, Daisy." He looks a bit confused. So, Ghost Girl, Mr. Hush, were you doing anything at this point?
Well, Mr. Hush informs Alice this is a perfect distraction, and Alice rushes downstairs in a small, squirrely little girl form. This scrawny teenager is trying to check the boxes and trying to figure out what she needs to figure out, and she's trying to find the ward that is what she's been warned about.
Okay, yeah. So you can rush down, and you rush past people who look like they're getting up. So you can see there's a table of cards that's been thrown over. There's guys grabbing hold of swords, drawing knives. Some people like strapping on, buckling on bits of armor and stuff like that. Someone's got a hooded lantern that he's firing up as you dart past. So I think you're going to need to make some kind of roll to get into the depths past the kind of guard room, I guess we'll call it for want of a better phrase.
I would suggest the finesse roll, because I just want to be squirrely and like hide and nimble. Ooh, and a 6.
Perfect. So exactly as you describe, you dart past, and they don't really notice as you start to plough into the depths of the barge and look for what might be a locked room or warded room or something like that. So we'll leave you there. Guy, you were poking your head over the top. You can see, you probably time it just right, so as you look up, you see one of your companions get bonked on the top of the head by this big like wooden stick of a hulking brute, who's not the hulking brute that's on your side, which is a bit upsetting.
Right, yeah, I shall like go onto deck, I think, with the hat on, and maybe just wait until these people are rushing upstairs, and be like, that's them. They attacked our gondola too, and point towards my fellows. And as they rush there, I'll then sneak past down to where Alice has gone to help her.
Okay, yeah, they're not expecting a gondolier to be on board and giving them directions, so this will require a roll, I think.
I think it's sway to deception, disguise, or bluff. I'm going to suggest that I can use my cloak and dagger, because I am in disguise to use a form of covert misdirection.
Yes, that sounds entirely plausible.
I might need it.
Yeah. I would say the consequences might be that you're the first one that gets stabbed if they don't believe you. But...
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to do this. Are we desperate now?
I think for you, no, it's still risky because they don't necessarily view you as a threat, but for the others, maybe it's desperate.
Okay, yeah. That way I'll point them towards my companions, and yeah.
It's the obvious way that it is. Oh,
yeah,
excellent.
Yeah. That's a critical, in fact.
That's a critical, yeah.
Sorry, guys. They were going to go towards you anyway. I thought that's like... we said a distraction, and yeah. It's worked out slightly differently, but...
Not only does the distraction work, but because you got a critical, one of them, who he guesses, the nominal leader, like presses a key into your hand and says, whatever you do, don't let him get hold of this.
Of course not.
There's only us and Margit. You get down below where it's safe. I'll take care of these bastards.
Quickly, yeah. I could take the hat off and go downstairs.
Okay, you rush down as well. So, Waltz, I'm going to say for you, the situation is now desperate. So, there's been a glancing blow over your companion. Mr. Hush / Ghost Girl's disappeared. This gondolier's come out of nowhere and directed people in your direction. The big hulking brute in front of you is now looking at you as if you're the cause of all these pain in this world.
Yeah, I think I will try to use the not to be trifled with and push myself to superhuman strength and take on a small crew, a small gang of people, and just try to wide my arms and like cannonball towards them and try to push them all over the side of the boat.
This sounds like a great ambition. I'm sure in your head that's exactly how it's going to play out, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
There's obvious consequences I don't need to spell out here, I think. So normally it would only be a limited effect, but because you've got that special ability, you can engage them with standard effects. That's fine. Risky standard. Sorry, desperate standard for you, because knives have been drawn and stuff.
Yeah. I would like to push myself, if that is a possibility.
Yeah, you can spend...
That gives me 2 stress. I don't know, do I have to click on a plus? No, I just mark 2 stress and get an extra.
Mark 2 stress, yeah. Then it's asked for bonus dice, give yourself +1 for that.
And then I would guess it's skirmish again.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so what was it? Desperate standard. Desperate standard with 1 bonus die. 3 5s.
So it is success with consequence, so that's good. Serious complication, reduced effect. Well, reduced effect doesn't sound very good. Suffer severe harm sounds much more like what we're doing. Okay, so a couple of things happen. I'm going to mark alert the guards now. So as you start barreling into them, their collective cry now gets the tailing vessel to like focus on them and not on the ghosts or other things that are happening. And now crossbow men are pointing in your direction. And someone's got the big bullseye lantern out that they playing across the back of the boat, so it's illuminating you all up for them as they start to take aim. But you do push most of them over. On the way over, though, one of them does jab his knife into your belly, so you're going to be taking 3 harm unless you want to try and reduce the consequence of that.
Sure. That would be prowess then?
So it's, yeah, the stat level one that's above this. Yeah, that's right. So you just click that.
And the bonus die from the pushing myself only counts for the roll before, not for this roll.
That's right, yeah. This is just a simple d6 just to see how much stress you can take, basically. A 5 means you'll take
5.
2 stress.
Okay.
So we're going to knock that down. Well, I'll mark it down to 2 harm. What I'm going to point out at this point, which we haven't discussed, or we didn't discuss loadout, is that you have got some gear. So if you've got some armor you could mark, I'm happy to knock that down to 1 stress, to 1 harm instead if you want. Or you can take 2.
Yeah, sure. I think I would be like armored up a little bit, like a thick leather coat that protects me from stabs, at least a little bit.
Yeah, so if you want to mark one of your armor boxes and you can just mark it down 1 harm of bleeding, I guess we'll call it. As a not necessarily clean blade was plunged into your belly, but it didn't get that deep. It's much like stabbing a whale or something, I guess. There's a lot of intervening material before you get to the actually important bits. That's probably the nicest way I can put it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so most of the foghounds that are on the vessel kind of get plunged into the water. Greedy ghosts start dragging them down into the deeps. There is, however, a big spotlight on the side of the vessel. Tasha, what does Echo do? Is you suddenly realise that it's just you and Walt that are up on the deck at the minute, and there's now a bright light sort of like silhouetting you against the back of this black anchor vessel.
Well, I'll certainly try to get out of the light if it's possible by getting closer to it and trying to destroy it.
So the lamp is on the vessel behind that's following you.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you wanted to, you definitely can leap across to that boat and try and do some things to help out, or you could use a ranged weapon, or you could do something else. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think my colleagues have it under control with the keys and everything, so I think getting rid of the light would be a great idea. So I'll try to maybe jump there, or I do have light climbing gear.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine it might have a rope of some kind.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Would that be finesse or prowl? Yeah, traverse obstacles. I think it's a prowl.
Yeah, for sure.
The position is desperate now?
Well, because you're using your gear, if you want to make it just risky instead, I'll allow you to say it's not as worrisome as you thought it might be because you've got the right gear to help you cross. So you can just make it risky standard if you want.
Mm-hmm. Risky standard. Am I getting any bonus dice, or that was it?
I can certainly offer you a devil's bargain if you want.
Of course, always. I've been rolling so well today. What can go wrong?
Yeah, you can have a bonus die. What I'm going to say is that, like someone will get hit by a bolt. It might be you, it might be Walt, but someone's going to take a winged shot from a crossbow as you leap across.
Okay, let's risk it. My highest is 5, which is not as bad as 1.
It is a lot better than 1. It is a success with consequence. So you do get over and kick over this lantern. Do you want it to like smash on the deck and set fire to the boat, or do you just want to knock it over the side?
Absolutely. This would have been my second goal to, where Ember sparks.
Yeah.
Fire is good. I'm also obsessed with water, so fire on the water, it's like the best thing that could happen to me.
Sounds amazing. So that's exactly what happens. One of the foghounds screeches and falls flaming with his coat flapping behind him into the water because that makes a great shot for the camera. There are a couple of others there though. One of them fires off his crossbow, misses you. There's a hole in your cloak as it misses you, and Walt, who's just kind of like step back from this stab wound, you suddenly find like a bolt goes to, it doesn't really hit your flesh, but it goes to your collar and it pins you against the wood of the boat behind you. And as it does that, and you're trying to like free yourself, you can see this ex-lady of the night, the ghost of it, the watery remains of her, is now crawling towards you as you've dispatched everybody else off the side of the vessel. There's just you there pinned, and a ghost clawing its way towards you, looking hungrily, with its black maw open, dripping, waiting for your life essence. I'll cut from there for now, just to let you think about what you might do about that. So, meanwhile, inside, Ghost Girl, you're in the bowels of the vessel. You can hear ominous creaking sounds. You don't know whether it's just the water or some animal down in the gutters of the ship. It's clear to see there's a door that's heavily barred and it's got runes carved into the front of it. So it doesn't take too much guesswork to think where you should be. You do notice there's a heavy lock with intricate filigree on it. A big, massive thing.
I think I have specialists that can work with heavy locks, but runes. I think I start grabbing candles and I start like burning away the ruins that are there, and muttering a prayer to the Ember Knight, our god, and like, by fire I cleanse thee, by fire I cleanse thee, by fire I cleanse thee, I command thee to dissipate.
Well, we'll roll some dice and find out whether that works. It sounds amazing. Is your god more powerful or is theirs? Let's find out.
Is it desperate, I believe, or risky?
I think it's just risky down here because there's no immediate threat. If you mess this up, things may change markedly.
Another 2 5s.
Okay, you get your wish. There is, however, a complication. So I guess this is where Song has come down the stairs as well. You've got your key in your hand and you see your companion burning away the wars of the rest of it. What you notice though is that there was another there's like old boxes and crates and stuff like that down here, and one of them that was perhaps overlooked because it's got an old oilskin over it had some wards in front of it as well, and they seem to dissipate as well. And as Ghost Girl looks round at you quite pleased, or is it Mr. Hush, it's hard to tell, that all the warding has been removed. There's the creaking of the gate as something monstrous, not quite discernible in the dark, starts to claw its way out, and in a voice that's not entirely human, the one word "free" kind of echoes out, and you hear the scratching of claws on wood as it pulls itself out of its cage.
As the people who captured you are up there. Yes, we freed you. Go take your revenge on your captors. Isn't that right, Mr. Hush? Isn't that right?
Yes, and I'm very happy to receive your gratitude. And the Alice eyes start lighting up red, and smoke starts coming out of offices, and she basically squares off, or at least Mr. Hush in her body squares off like an angry cat towards whatever's coming out of there.
Amazing. So this sounds like Song is going to make the roll, but Ghost Girl, if you want to spend a stress, you can give him an extra die to help with that
Definitely.
as you back him up.
Angry demon cat.
I'm going to say this is a desperate situation.
Yeah. It's Sway. I don't know. Is it Sway? I don't think it's Consort because I don't think they're a friend.
It's It's going to be Sway. I'm going to say as well it's limited effect as well because you're not speaking to someone who's reasonable.
No, yeah, that is correct. I guess. Is there a devil's bargain I can have to? You trade position for effect. We're already desperate, aren't we? So I can't do anything like that. Can you increase effect with a thing?
Yes, yeah, I'll say you can if you want the devil's bargain. I'll say that the bargain is that this thing isn't going to stop getting revenge. So you might initially persuade it to go and eat some of the crew, but then that's not going to stop it continuing to eat anything else it finds.
I think now that Mr. Hush is involved, that seems to make sense in the fiction, doesn't it? So yeah, so I get extra dice for the assistance of Mr. Hush, but it's standard effect, right? Yes, a 6.
Excellent. So whatever it is in the dark, it's hard to see, moves with preternatural alacrity and rushes past you, so there's a guttering of the candle you're holding or whatever else as it moves past. And one of the other doors is opened and someone in arcane robes, I guess we'll call them. It looks like a fellow seeker of philosophical truth of some sort. And saying that he's almost saying, I sense some kind of something's wrong with the water.
Yeah.
And then there's just this the camera just gets this claw in the face, and out of the doorway he's been dragged back into, there's a spray of blood against the opposite wall and a screaming sound. But that's the end of what we see there for now.
I take my hat off and say, Alice, it's me. And put it back on before anyone else sees.
Yeah. In case you spotted. Okay, so with the sounds of bones being crunched and the receding screams, you rush up with the key and can insert it in the lock, and you can begin to open the door. On the vessel behind the trailing ship, we've got our breaking and entering expert, I want to say, lit up by fire, facing off a couple of fockhounds and busy clapping at the fire on the water because this is great. And we have Walt, who's pinned to the wooden side of a vessel as a ghost comes clawing to do something to him if he can't stop it. I think that's a perfect time to have a quick cliffhanger break, and we'll just all refresh ourselves and get a drink, and then we shall return very shortly. Don't worry, viewers at home, we'll edit this down so it'll be quite quick, but we need a little bit of calm time before we get back into this exciting action. So we shall see you all very shortly. Hello everyone, welcome back. I know for you it's been mere moments, but for us it's been a good 5 or 10 minutes getting our heart rates back down again so that we can get them elevated with more exciting action. If you've liked what you've seen so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a comment below. Who do you think is going to make it through this scenario? Pause your YouTube now and write down in the comments,
all of
is
us,
Walt's going to be
the
eaten
answer.
by a ghost, or what's going to happen? Let's find out though. So let us get back to the action and let us be on deck. I've mentioned Walt, I've mentioned a ghost trying to eat him, so let's find out what he's going to do about it. Sebastian, you have an inexpensive streetwalker in ghostly form descending upon you. What do you do?
Alice, shit, and why do they make me always carry the stuff? And I'm looking through all my clothes, and I usually, like, before any heist or so, I get to be the pack mule, and everything is put upon me, like everything they want to possibly bring. And I take out this bag that we usually bring because you have to deal with ghosts one way or another. It's these tiny pearls, look like grapes, shine a little in the darkness, like glow a little, and we call them ghost kibble. I don't know how Mr. Hush produces them, but ghosts go crazy for it. We probably don't want to know how they are made.
Best not to ask questions. Yeah.
I just take the bag and, like, here, eat that, and throw it over the entirety, and all these tiny bubbly pearls roll over the deck and hopefully distract the ghost.
This sounds like a great idea. So I guess you're using some of your cult special equipment for this. So I normally would say you'd have limited effect against a ghost, but this sounds ideally the sort of thing that you would use in this situation, so you can definitely have standard effect. I think it's still desperate for you because you're right in the trouble zone. Yeah, I mean, are they condensed souls? What are they? Who knows? Let's not dwell on that right now. The important thing is that the ghost doesn't eat you. So what are you going to roll for me to try and distract the ghost with this kibble?
Yeah, that is a little bit the question. I think, even though I don't like it, it would be finesse, which would be horrible for me because I can't do that. So I try to argue maybe it's not wreck. I think I have
command or sway or something like that. Perhaps if you're trying to
command mission. I will throw them and yell at the ghost like, "Go away! Eat those! They are delicious for you!" And try to command the ghost to go away.
That sounds great. I will. Yeah, I'll offer you Devil's Bargain as well if you want. You can have an extra die, but there's going to be a supernatural rumour that you're the source of the kibble. So maybe not this adventure, maybe another one, but ghosts are going to come seeking you out. You don't have to take it, but if you want that extra sweet dice, then you can take it.
I think Mr. Hush is happy about all the attention. So definitely. So it was desperate, was it?
I think so.
Desperate standard effect or
standard effect? That's right. It would normally be limited, but because you've got your special equipment, we'll make it standard.
And then I get one bonus die for the Devil's Bargain and one bonus die for the item, or does the item?
All the items done is increase your effect level, but you get one dice for the Devil's Bargain.
Okay. No. With the 2, that isn't
suboptimal, is what we call that. You do get to mark experience for a desperate roll on the stat line on the skill, so that's something. Okay. Right, so you've failed on a standard. Serious complications, suffer harm, lose opportunities. So what we're going to say is, although you've stopped the immediate problem, I'll give you that for free. That the ghost starts snaffling down this kibble immediately. She lets out a weird keening sound. It's just like, I don't know, like someone who's in a lot of pain and extreme bliss both at the same time. It ululates and it kind of goes into dog whistle territory where you can't hear it, but like hounds start barking in the round and down again.
A demonstration.
Yeah. It then gets so low you can sort of feel it in your chest, but you can't hear it. And all the spirits around, there's probably half a dozen, you think, that are still active. All are like, that's basically saying, feeding frenzy. And all the ghosts start to immediately descend upon your location. And although the kibble's quickly going to go, it does smell, and you've kind of got your pocket just stinks of it. So we'll leave you there for now. Behind you, or opposite you, I should say, on the boat behind, I guess you can see some of this echo, but you've probably got your own problems. The two hounds that were there have thrown down the crossbows, and now they've spat the bolts, and they're pulling out the cutlasses. So you can just see the anger in their eyes, lit by the flames of the vessel that's starting to now properly catching up as the ropes and tar and other things that are around start to crackle and burn. And what are you going to do? Do you want to stay and fight? Are you going to escape the situation or something else?
Well, I'm definitely not staying here because this is not the boat we're aiming for. My job here is done. Their job now is to try and take out that fire I'm leaving for them. So hopefully that the rope I used to get to this boat is still in the air, so I can use it to get back to the big boat.
Yep, I think the rope's on fire now, but it's not burned through, so that's all right. So it's kind of, can you get back quickly enough before part of it burns through?
I'm compelled to ask for a bonus die at a risk that I bring some of the fire to the big boat with me.
Yes, well, you can. I'll clarify the rules, because I know this is your first time at Blades, but if you take a devil's bargain, it's something that definitely happens. So if you want to say that the flames will follow you and the main barge will set on fire as well, you can have an extra dice. It won't be immediate, obviously there'll be a bit of a lead time as long as you roll well. But the devil's bargain will be that the boat sets on fire. Yes. Yeah. Sweet extra dice.
It's very unlikely we weren't going to set this boat on fire. Let's be
we're
real.
we're basically done with the mission by now. You're in the vault.
Yeah, we're in the boat. The bottom of the, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Below the waterline.
Yeah, the burning boat. Yeah, we'll be fine.
Is my position risky or desperate now?
I think it's still risky for you because you've not done anything catastrophic, I don't think, in my memory. I might be misremembering. I'll have to watch this video back on YouTube and check.
Wow, I'm really good in it.
Excellent.
Probably I should stick with the things I'm trained to do instead of, like, fight or something.
So, tell me if I'm wrong, but in my mind, this now means you kind of like run across the rope rather than have to climb across it. At least as it's sort of like flaming behind you, and you think, "Oh, that's quite bad." As you land with both feet back on the black anchor, what you see is your companion Walt is still pinned by a crossbow bolt against the side of the vessel, and you now realise that you kind of jump around where there's 5 or 6 ghosts are all sort of like scrabbling around on the ground. For you recognise these like black condensed things, but they're increasingly running out of them and sort of fighting amongst themselves and now looking around a little bit. So they're not spotting you straight away, but you get the impression that the distraction's not going to last much longer.
Mm.
While you ponder that, down in the vessel, there's the click of the lock as you use your key. Take the bars off and open the door. What light source do you think you have with you? Because I presume you have something.
A candle. I had a candle in my hand.
A little guttering candle. Good. That's what we like to. You cast that about the deep, dark hold. And it glitters in there as you do. There's a variety of boxes and chests, many of them banded or have locks on or look otherwise like well secured. But there's other things just like hanging around loose as well. A variety of ornaments. In fact, it's almost as if you've stepped into some kind of candlemaker's shop as you see an array of candelabra before you.
Can I
Which one was it again?
Can I attune to the CD which candelabra has most potency?
You could definitely try.
And I can use my fine spirit mask that I have to better see supernatural things. Does that give me a bonus die?
Yeah, I'm going to disappoint you all here a bit, but make a rules clarification. It's very rarely will they give you an extra die, but what it will do is give you an increased effect.
Sure. I will take it.
So it's risky, normally be risky standard this, but I think you're going to get great effect actually. So,
can I support by marking stress? And I better say something in fiction to do that, shouldn't I? I will. Yeah, presumably Mr. Hush is doing this, so I will. I think I maybe almost accidentally end up brushing against Alice and holding her hand, and then feel like the Mr. Hush inhabiting both of us at once. So 2 pairs of eyes.
It feels like a long-legged spider is weeding to your brain folds.
Yeah, it's really weird because you've got like twice as many eyes as a human, but only half as many as Mr. Hush has. So he's better for him, but still not quite.
Yeah, it's only a momentary touch, but it feels like hours. It's really unpleasant. Yeah, so you get extra. I'll mark a stress, and you get extra dice from that.
Definitely worth a die for that.
So, normal, risky.
It's risky and great effect.
Bonus die. Fingers crossed. 5.
5's fine. So, what I will give you, because you've got great effect, is you do find the candelabra has the most power, but you also recognise that that's not the one that you're after. And so you've got not only your candelabra that you came for, but you can spot another one that's even more powerful. Not necessarily aligned to your particular brand of philosophical truth, but nevertheless, it'll probably be worth something at the very least.
Well, let's get that and the one that we're after, and some nice looking ones to give to the constable. Because he won't know, will he?
The trouble is with getting a 5 result is that also a complication. So that as you're having that conversation, you see how the corner of your like the room seems to have got brighter all of a sudden, and you see in the doorway is Marguerite's Veil, over the foghounds. He's holding up a lantern, looking in, and she's got a pistol in one hand pointed in your two's direction as you're talking about how much it's worth and mentioning the constable by name. So we'll pause for you two for that to flash back outside. So Waltz, you're still inconvenienced. Echo, you've managed to get on board, so at least the two of you together. And in between you, scaffolding down the last of these little black souls, is an array of drowned ghosts who are now looking about, maybe sniffing in Walt's direction. What do you want to do, the pair of you?
First of all, I think I will just try to get rid of whatever is stuck in there and just try to punch the bolt into the wall so it lets me alone.
It sounds good. It should be a wreck roll, really, but if you're going to tell me that's skirmish, I'm happy with the narration.
I think it will be wreck. That is completely fine. I will punch the thing and hope and rip and try to get myself free from the situation. That is still a desperate situation, I guess.
Yeah, definitely still in a desperate situation.
Yeah, and the effect would be stunned then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That is a 6.
Okay, with a fist like a jackhammer, you just pound this crossbow bolt into the side of the vessel like it's a nail, and can happily step away. It doesn't solve the problem with the ghosts that are also around you, but at least now you can move freely, and you've got a chance to kind of scrabble backwards a bit and get out of their immediate grasp. Echo, what do you do to help the situation?
We're not alone on that deck, right? So there are still some of the people who were supposed to guard it.
Well, Walt threw most of them overboard, so there are one or two about, but they're not happy about hanging around with ghosts, so they're kind of lurking in the shadows at the minute.
Well, happily lurking in the shadows is my specialty. I even have the... what's it called? Dark side goggles.
Yeah, so I guess it's like low light vision or something you can see.
Yeah. Exactly. So I want to grab one of those and sort of push him towards the ghosts. Maybe the lady who was interested, the Daisy lady, was it? Who seemed to be more active. Others following her. Maybe that will distract them from at least us.
Yeah, sounds good. I think this is a skirmish roll to grab hold of him and shove him. Or her.
Ambush with close violence is a description of Troll 2. Could I argue
okay.
that?
No, I'll go for that if you want, Prowl. I'm happy.
Is it desperate?
Yes, I think so.
Not great, not terrible.
Okay. I'll say it happens. Daisy takes in, she whispers, "Come here, my lover," and grabs him as he's pushing forward, and they both disappear off the side of the boat with a splash. And
He
he
missed you
screams
so
and
much.
cuts off. I'm going to tick my alert the guards box again as the consequence. And one of the other unfortunates nearby who you didn't manage to grab hold of pulls out a flare pistol and shoots it up in the sky. And a big sickly green flare goes off, and a little like parachute, and hovers over the whole scene. So now everything's in this ghoulish green light. And what's more, you can hear shouts and stuff like that. And the navy that you were warned about further down the river as you've been drifting steadily over this time, you can see some, like a response flare comes from them, and you would expect quite soon some kind of boat of armed men or something like that might turn up. But a clock's not completely full, so it's not all to lost just yet. However, down below decks, trapped in the strong room, there's Ghost Girl and Song, and you've got a Foghound leader with a pistol pointing in your direction. What's your play?
Well, you have a suggestion, Mr. Song. Maybe we should like Mr. Hush to solve it.
I like nod slightly and step forward and start just blathering. I think, thank goodness you're here. They made us do it. I don't know what we're going to do, and just talking nonsense in the hope that Mr. Hush will do something horrible and resolve this situation.
Yeah, Margaret immediately sort of faces down and says, don't come that with me, gondolier. We've been at odds for some time, but to see you brazenly here.
So, of course, yes, the gondoliers have long had aspirations on the Foghounds, as you'll know.
Just your
too late, though. I've already quickly improvising. We've already placed most of the treasure on my colleague Patrazzi outside. He'll escape with most of it. You're too late.
Okay.
My character's giving you a straight face. Anyway.
Yeah. You can't, but your character's deadly serious, of course. Okay, Olga, what's your play then?
Oh, Elika, you foul beast of the deep, I think I found your main captain. Come get your revenge, you foul little maggot. It's a command where I summon a demon to attack the guy who's blocking our doors. Cannot go wrong at all.
Yeah.
I think it just naturally is a devil's bargain because I'm putting a demon between us and the exit.
Yeah, so it works for me.
Or alternatively, I can do a flashback. I think, could I do a flashback where Mr. Hush does in a very deep, dark space, makes dark dealings with demons and sits on a throne and smokes things, and things scuttle around his feet, and he says, "Elika, I ban you to the surface." So maybe that demon either hates Mr. Hush or needs to obey him or has some debt on him, and I will mark 2 stretch for that.
Okay, so that there is definitely a demon because you've already sent him up here. It's just a matter of whistling and getting him into the right.
We just found one as it happened.
Yes, that was the thing in the cage. I'm calling it back.
Yeah.
Is that risky or desperate?
I think you're now in desperate territory, so you're definitely bringing lots of demons in and calling them to you.
What would be the effect?
I think it's a standard effect.
Standard demon chewing?
Yes, it's not particularly over the top demon chewing or nibbling.
Ooh, a 5 at least, but
5 at least. Okay, so yes, the thing that's finished eating whoever the magus was that was on the barge has finished devouring him now, and comes scuttling back out and like bounding towards you down the corridor. You can't see it because Marguerite's in the way with her lamp up, so you can just see the light, but you can hear it and smell it. There's that rotting fish guts, dark, just horrible, clawing at the back of your throat, acrid stench that's coming nearer and nearer. And she can feel it as well. She doesn't want to look around. So she bolts to one side and just hits a part of the bulkhead which looks as solid as any other part of the oak. But there's a secret compartment that she dives into. the demon then launches into the room as she shuts the door behind her, and everything goes dark because that was her lantern, and your little candle is blown shut by the slamming of the door. So there's no immediate harm, but you're now in the dark with a ravening demon that's overpowering your senses with its stench and hideous cackles. And we'll let you think about that for a little minute. So back outside, Walt. Things are looking strange. The boat that was trailing is now on fire, and you can see it starting to list and people abandoning ship. Ahead of you, you can see the other vessels kind of turned round now and is coming back to help the barge in whatever way it can, with people scanning about to see what's happened. There's still an array of ghosts that are now looking around. You're the most vital target that they can see, and they're now starting to pick up pace, and they're sniffing at your pockets as they reach towards you, saying, "Come with us, join us in the deep. We'll feast together." What do you do?
I think I will first of all yell into the hull of the ship where the others are, the doorway where they went down. Yeah, like, we gotta go. It's important. It's getting like quite sticky up here. And then run towards wherever the steering of that barge is. I imagine there is something with the intent.
Sorry to interrupt. May I suggest that we have like a flashback in here, since we were warned that there are the gondoliers helping them out, and like we saw the other ships. That we prepared some sort of ambush or something. Like mechanical trap, which will, like, another gargoyle or something bigger, which will drop if hit properly. I'm not sure what we use for like ranged weapons.
It's like black powder weapons, so flintlock guns.
Yeah, something to prevent those other ships coming to this bigger barge.
Oh, we could have placed like an explosive on one of the houses where we know that there is another gargoyle up top that will like topple half the wall.
Oh yeah, exactly. Since we discovered
if that explodes and just rains them with stones, and
the gargoyles are going off so easily, we decided to use the other one.
Yeah,
and so maybe we can rush to the front of the boat and ignite that trap.
That definitely sounds like a thing you could try.
Yeah, I'm asking Walt if he's happy with this plan, because he was also thinking of something.
Yeah, my plan was to rush towards the steering wheel and turn the ship sideways so it blocks the entire canal.
We were thinking in a similar direction.
Yeah, we were thinking in a similar. Maybe we do both. Maybe you can like explode the thing that we have prepared. You just need to like shoot properly or like trigger the trigger, whatever the trigger is. We will find out in a second. And I will rush towards the steering thing and steer the boat sideways so we don't get crushed ourselves, because that would be a bit
Are you any good in shooting?
No. I'm good at breaking things and punching things.
I'm good in tinkering with mechanisms.
That would be something. Maybe you build some kind of remote.
Yeah. If you want to spend 2 stress on the flashback to see you've got some kind of remote device that's going to set this off.
Sure, it sounds fun.
And obviously we'll have to make the tinker roll now to work out if it actually got set up properly or not. And I do like the fact that you're trying to do this at the same time, rather than make sure one works and then the other, that you're both going, well, you'll set off the trap and I'll stop the boat, and they'll both happen beautifully. Nothing
right.
So shall we do the tinker roll now to see how...
Is it still risky and standard, right?
I think with ghost chasing and everything else that's happening, it's a desperate situation, we've said, so I don't think it's got any easier since then. Nobody's done anything to make it less risky, let's put it that way.
It's a 2.
Right, that is...
Can I do something with it? Improve it somehow? Or not really?
Not after the fact. You can always roll to try and reduce the effect of what the consequence, if you will. But for a desperate situation, when you get a bad outcome, it's the worst outcome. So
I guess it did explode, but it did not fall down.
no,
Instead, drew
falls
more
fully on the
attention to the
barge.
spot.
Worst, yeah.
the tenement
I
building
think the worst.
falls backwards into it.
I think that the worst thing that could happen would be to actually fall on the barge we are on, because
Well, but that
would...
depends if you will be good with that steering wheel.
That depends on.
Okay, yeah. I'll hold out what the consequence is for now until we see how Walt did at actually steering the ship. Because if you do something catastrophic, then I think it's obvious that you end up under the rubble.
I don't want you to have to make it worse as well. That'd be too much pressure. Let's cut it out.
Okay.
Let's go easy on the GM.
And I think Walt is not very subtle with this, and he doesn't bother if the ship like rides later or not, or drives further or not. So he just turns it around and just smashes the entire mechanism that steers the ship. So.
Well, you're not someone undoing your good work, do you?
Yeah. I think that is wrecked then.
Yeah, I think so.
It is a desperate situation, especially with an explosion and ghosts being followed by ghosts.
Yeah, you tried to lock yourself in the wheelhouse, but they just walked right through the door. So that's a
standard effect, I guess. And no bonus dice. Let's see what we got. A 6.
Oh, perfect. Right, so you've managed to roll 6, which is a success. You get everything you want and no consequences. Despite the ghosts walking through the walls towards you and other things happening and the buildings collapsing all around, you manage to jackknife the vessel and get it wedged in the canal and smash up all the machinery, so nobody's going to steer it anywhere for a good long while. So that's good for you. Downstairs, people are probably getting jostled about and shaking. Imagine a big cup with 2 players and a demon in, and then someone's rolling it about and then going to roll it out and see what happens. We'll get to that shortly. What we didn't do was still work out any consequences for Echo. I think you probably take some... I think your device explodes in your hand. So I'm going to give you 2 harm. You can always try and resist that consequence if you want by rolling your prowess, or you can just take the 2 harm.
Rolling my... I remember now. I'm learning as we go.
Learning. You get a 5. Okay. And in the new rules, that means you just take 2 stress.
Mm-hmm. And what about damage?
So I'm reducing that harm to 1. So just your other 1 box you'll tick in. So you've now got bruised, and you're going to have singed as well, or something like that. As you manage to throw it in the water before it fully explodes, but you still catch some of the shrapnel and burning shards. So because you've got both your...
The good thing is it exploded.
It did. It went off, sure. There's no evidence left behind of what you did. But because you've taken 2 levels of level 1 harm now, you now get less effect on your actions. So... most people normally get standard effect, you now get limited effect, unless you've got some gear to increase at that, because basically you're battered and bruised and been set on fire a bit. But you can still rush around and help and do all those other lovely things. So downstairs in the darkness, there's the fetid, clawing, acrid stench of a demon, the brimstone and dead things scratching at your throat, almost feels like the smell's trying to force its way down your gullet. You can hear it skittering. You can hear its gleeful titters in the darkness as it gets ready to taste flesh and soul. What does either or both of you do about that?
We need something to get rid of this stench and let us buy some time, and hopefully we can get out of it. I happen to be carrying some trance powder, which is one of the few things that might be able to confuse this demon a little bit. Obviously, it's also quite a heavy narcotic for humans too. So what I'm going to attempt to do is to sort of, in the darkness, open it away from both of us in this, like, moving around, tossing around thing, but towards the demon to buy us enough time to gather up the candelabras, Ghost Girl can light another candle, and then we'll get out while it's confused by the trans powder, and we won't be too much off our tits to do that. I can't think of any consequences that should this go wrong.
Desperately try and seek some out.
With my finesse of 1. Right.
Can I assist in this?
Yes, please.
I'll mark to stress, and I'll get like
You could light the candle in time, for instance. That would help.
I would like to fish out an ectoplasm vial that that glows.
Yeah.
So you got a glow stick. That's
Yeah.
Got a glow stick.
Except don't break it, whatever you do.
Yeah. Excellent. Sounds great.
Risk-free glow stick.
So yeah, bonus dice from that. I'm not.
I think it's a desperate situation now.
I agree.
I think because you're using both your trans powder and the ectoplasm vial, I'm going to go with actually having great effect if you can pull it off.
Right, we'll see then. And a bonus dice. What could go wrong? Nothing. 6. See.
Absolutely nothing. So what kind of light is it that ectoplasm gives off?
Bright blue. It's one of those it's a vial to use for batteries. The whole. I get it out of the covering, and it's bright blue, and everything that's slightly hungry for ectoplasm might be attracted to it, but it's light. It's very bright.
Excellent. So the demon itself is hard to focus your eyes on. It seems to slip off its shadowy form, and it doesn't seem to hold the correct number of dimensions. So it's giving a weird wave-like form, and with this blue light, it's almost like you're in one of those underwater aquariums where the walls kind of like have this wave-like pattern, but are also bright blue. With your spirit mask on, you can detect which of the candelabras out of the now mass of them in a big pile, and grab them, and the pair of you, now the demon seems to be in some kind of like trance-like state, however temporarily, can make for the exit. So you'll start to rush out. I'll take it. So as you're doing that, on the outside, Walt, they've been impending for some time now, and now I'm going to say the ghosts are about you. They're starting to like put their hands on you and in you. What do you want to do about that?
I think I will just take out this Spirit Bane charm, which is on my sheet that I have. And the Spirit Bane charm that Walt carries is not a normal Spirit Bane charm, of course. It's sort of brass knuckles, but then as Spirit Bane form. And I just do what Walt does, namely try to push them back and punch them, and like at least with that I can sort of get them to back away. After I got a little bit of room, just jump out of the window and dash towards the gondolier that we have, because I know that everybody will of course be at the gondolier when I arrive.
Absolutely.
And just crash through the window, get them away, and then crash through the window, get to the gondola. That is my goal.
Sounds good. Sounds a lot to there, but let's go with skirmish to start with to see if you can fight them off. Because of your special ability, you can fight a small gang as if it was just one person, so that doesn't give you any penalty. Your special charm will give you a standard effect, rather limited, when punching ghosts. So,
but it's still desperate.
You are still in a desperate situation, I would suggest. Yeah. If your happy outcome is diving through a window, then yes, you're probably desperate.
Yeah. And I think I will push myself for 2 stress to just get an extra die that I desperately need to get out of that dire situation. And that is a 6.
Excellent. Exactly as you described, you punch and push back, and they're desperate as they are to like get into your pockets and sniff the kibble that might be there. You punch them back far enough with your Spirit Bane charm to then smash through the window. So we get a great exterior shot of you just exploding through the glass and getting it with like little cuts and bits of stuff stuck in your face, looking around a bit, and then rushing to the back of the boat to try and jump on Patrice's gondola, assuming it's still there and everybody else is with you. Echo, how about you? You're kind of you probably hear the smashing glass and hear the pounding of feet, which you're well used to. There's not many other ghosts or anybody else around at the minute. There's probably some foghounds somewhere, but they're making themselves scarce. You've not managed to block off the canal with anything other than the boat that you're stood on. So you're aware that the reinforcements coming are probably going to get to you quite quickly. What do you wish to do?
I would like to inform my colleagues that we are really short of time. They've been down for quite a while now. Maybe it's because I'm not there with them to guide them through how you actually work with the bolts and stuff. So I want to rush there and see what's the why they're so slow.
Okay. Well, you start to rush down and see them rushing up towards you.
Okay, good.
Looking.
I'll show the way.
Don't go down there, whatever you do. Don't go down there.
Well, there is a bit of a ghost situation on deck, but I'm
that's
sure
fine.
we can
Don't worry.
sneak through.
Go, just go. It's fine.
We have a demon situation down deck. It's bad.
Okay. The four of you managed to accumulate all at the same time. Miraculously, because we rolled before and you got a partial success, Patrice and his gondola is still there as you collapse into it. One of you, I presume, has got 2 candelabras in hand. And Patrice waxes his little moustache a bit and goes, "Oh, I see. One for you, one for me."
Yes, exactly. I'm taking out the 3rd candelabra, the one I brought with me.
Yes, of course.
One for you, one for us, another one for the officer.
That sounds amazing. In fact, I'm not even going to make you roll for that. I think that's a perfectly well-used piece of equipment that we've established you've got. So you hand over what looks like... You're now probably a little bit concerned, though, because you hand it over and you look at the candelabras they've got, and none of them look like yours. So you're a bit worried they've got the wrong one. But nevertheless, Patrice agrees to this bribe and immediately starts poling, I think we've established, away as fast as he can. And maybe one of you two help by grabbing a pole and also helping.
I'm just, as he's pulling away, I just want to I'm going to just wave my gondolier's hat to make it really especially clear to everyone watching who was carrying out this job that it was the gondoliers that have just attacked the foghounds.
You do risk, of course, destroying your own disguise by taking the hat off, which you haven't thought about.
I'll hold a pole quickly. So and I need another accessory to do it. Borrow Patrice's neck scarf.
You just take Patrice's hat off and wave with that.
Put mine on.
So I think all we need to do really for this bit is to make a group action to get away. So someone's going to lead, and then everyone else shall follow, so to speak. So who's your leader in the effect to slip away without being followed back to your gang hideout?
That sounds a bit prowly, which might well be right for Echo to lead us.
Sure, I'd love to.
They're the sneaky one, aren't they? Probably.
We are probably going down to one of the smaller canals and then trying to maybe get away through the sewers or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Yeah, I'm definitely down with that. Now then, the thing is, when you lead a group action, you coordinate basically the rest of the team to do what they want to do. But each PC who's involved makes an action roll, and the team counts the single best result. So far so good. You all get to roll, and we'll just pick the best one out of all your rolls. The bad news is, however, that you take 1 stress, Tasha, for each of your companions that rolls the 1 to 3 result. So any fails means you get stressed out as you're going, shush, stuff. And they're doing it wrong, basically. But it means you do all get to roll. So if everybody can roll prowl, I think it's not desperate anymore because there's enough distraction stuff on the way. It's just a risky standard at this point.
And if
we'll see how many successes we get.
0 dots in prowl, then
So I think there is a button for you roll 2 dice and pick the worst one.
Just click on Prowl, it'll roll it, do it for you.
So we've got... Okay, so... Funnily enough, waving the gondola's hat drew a lot of attention. So you take 1 stress for that, Tasha. Everybody else rolled quite good, but the best result you've got is a 5, which is a mixed success. So it's not going to be an immediate consequence. But what we'll do it as a kind of like a camera angle, so that as you're escaping down the sewers and looking at it, oh, thank God we got away with that. Nobody knew it was us. There's just kind of like the cherry red of a cigarette as someone's smoking a roll-up fag and watching what you're doing and making notes in a little notebook. And with that, we shall leave the session for this week. There is some downtown action. We may or may do that on screen. We'll decide later on. But let's leave it with our crew having gone away with it. Or have they? Because they were observed. If you've liked what you've seen, please do like, subscribe, and ring that little bell. It's free to do, and it does help the channel out. Of course, leave us a comment with what you thought of the action, and if there's something you do differently, how would you handle the reveling ghosts or the crazy demon? Do let us know, because we love to hear from you. Until next time, dear listeners, dear viewers, goodbye.